If you're unfamiliar with the term guru junkie, it basically means someone who is constantly buying courses, coaching programs, or e-learning products from some supposed expert online. Now, I want to preface this by saying I've been fortunate to work with over 40 clients in my consulting work over the last 3 or so years, and I'm big on mentorship if it's the right fit. I also believe, for the most part, real mentors, or the best kind of mentors, the kind that I want, are not going to be DMing me on Instagram trying to sell me on anything. That is not how I would go about finding a new mentor or coach today. But that has not always been the case. I have hired coaches off social media before, and I've had both good experiences and not so good experiences. I also got into coaching myself off the heels of my audience on Instagram, so I can't totally discredit the forum. What I've learned as both a coach and a student is that success is entirely dependent on the perspective, the expectations, and the actions of the person paying for the program. When we hire someone for anything, there's an underlying expectation that we have as consumers that just by signing up for something or by investing money into a mentor or a mastermind, for example, that we're somehow gaining access to this treasure chest of trade secrets, or that we'll activate some magic light switch or catch some type of golden bullet that doesn't actually exist to automatically propel us well beyond wherever we're at now, typically in some ridiculously compressed time frame that's heavily pushed by the person selling the thing. Now, with that said, I think some coaches can legitimately add value, but the truth is many are putting on a facade to bait people in who lack the experiences or the resources to otherwise find what they claim to have. Inherently, there's nothing wrong with that at all. The problem isn't so much one of selling snake oil, it's really one of expectation setting. If you invest $7,000 for some online info product, the hope is that you're going to gain access to something that is going to change your life pretty dramatically one way or another, right? And the person selling you the offer probably legitimately does want that for you. But the reason that it never seems to happen as we hoped, that it never quite delivers on that promise, I think is threefold. Number one, no matter what's being taught, you can only achieve so much by talking, by watching, by observing. The only way any real change ever happens is by doing, by trial and error, by continued action, usually done in solitude, months or years after accumulating a combination of knowledge collected via many sources. It's never just one thing, as much as we want to believe that it can be at the outset. Number two, the guru often manufactures big expectations, right? They use exaggerated numbers and promote hero accounts from outlier clients. This creates a sense that the result we want lies just around the corner, and all we have to do is sign up, go through the material, attend the calls, etc. But it's never that simple. It's much more nuanced than just being exposed to the group or the guides or the guru. Real change is the result of the compound effect working its magic over time. Again, expectations. The most you can realistically expect from any coach or course is to get to the next rung, the next little unlock. But we have to be wary of lofty promises that seem too good to be true. And then number three, the harsh reality, and I had to face this truth with myself with the last course that I bought, is that most people just never finish what they start. There's a peak of inflated expectations at the very beginning after we buy something new, but then after a few weeks, once there's no noticeable shift in our circumstances, most people let off the gas or just quit altogether. And so it begs the questions, are we to blame or is the coach? Is coaching a scam or does it work? And if you are a coach or a consultant like me, is there still an opportunity or is the window closing as skepticism and letdown continue to mount in the marketplace? In my opinion, there's always going to be a market for anyone who can legitimately help others transform their life or fix a problem. And even if the market is shrinking, which I think it is in terms of decreasing numbers of wide-eyed, kind of naive status seekers willing to fork over $10,000 for Zoom calls and a few modules, opportunity will remain for those who can find that next arbitrage play or who can create systems that have a high probability of generating outsized results for clients. One way to differentiate yourself is to productize your service and to do what's called value stacking. I explain both of these extensively in my upcoming book, but the essence is that you want to figure out how to provide value in excess of whatever you're asking for in exchange. For example, coaches who ask $5,000 for the product but don't affect $25,000 worth of value are going to be phased out by those who know how to ensure their clients capitalize beyond the cost of the program, or who can work in guarantees to completely de-risk for prospects. If there's value there, I'm still of the opinion that there's legitimacy in some coaching programs. But when you invest in a coach, you have to recontextualize why you hire that person and what you hope to achieve by doing so. The real result of any coaching work that you do with someone will almost never be any specific tactics or game-changing strategy. Sometimes it will be, but more often it'll be that subtle underlying shift that takes place within you. And that is just the byproduct of interacting with someone who's conceivably showing up to be a mirror. Real coaching is transformational, not transactional. Coaching that claims to focus on accountability or guidance or quote unquote mindset are shams, in my opinion. If I work with a coach, I'm looking for somebody who's very niched and has already achieved the thing that I want to do. I realize a coach is never going to do the thing for me. Now, from the coaching side, as a consultant, I can tell you the space is becoming more saturated. I do think audiences on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn have become somewhat desensitized to prospecting tactics that used to work even 1 or 2 years ago, DMs and paid ads specifically. But there's always going to be new attention arbitrage plays. You just have to figure out what they are. 3 techniques I see emerging the next couple years are going to be personalized cold email, mass nurturing waterfall forums like Facebook groups, summits, seminars, or webinars where people opt in. And then lastly, owned media audiences, namely on YouTube, where you can front load with tons of free content, then siphon just a sliver off the top to enroll in your offers. So to answer the question I posed earlier, no, coaching, courses, info products are not going to go extinct, but outdated methods of prospecting and promoting are changing almost monthly. So internet entrepreneurs that don't adapt with the times by staying at the cutting edge of these online trends are going to be phased out by those who do. Okay, so let's say you want to get into coaching or are already working to scale up your practice, or maybe you're looking to pivot in your focus. Where should you shift? At the moment, and it's currently August 2023, I really see 3 high leverage next up opportunities that online coaches can seize. These are in-demand niches and skill sets that are just now emerging and still have a really high ceiling. Number 1, the past few years have seen an outpouring of lead gen and business scaling coaches. This won't change because leads will always be needed and the know-how to grow businesses will always be in demand. The problem with this is the market is closing if you're promoting the same old thing that's been done the last 2 to 3 years. People are skeptical and desensitized to the generic pitch of, I'll help you get X calls scheduled per day, X leads per week, or whatever. So you have to present and package this skill set in a different way, like adding some sort of done-for-you service, for example. If you can do that, this is a lucrative niche worth learning about. Number 2, how about AI and machine learning coaches? There's going to be an opening in the market for more technical entrepreneurs to come in and sell courses and start promoting offers on using AI to automate aspects of business. And if you can show people how to generate results using AI or massively consolidate tasks, I think there's a massive opportunity specifically as well for software or tool companies to deploy their tech into the market, and in conjunction with that, sell coaching or courses on top so that both components can really play off of one another. The arbitrage window around AI is big. And then number 3, niche agencies. Agencies that try to serve and market to everyone aren't going to last. People are seeking specialization. An example of this would be a dentist marketing agency where you focus just on developing and running Google ads and Facebook ads for dental practices. Agencies that speak to a narrow segment of the market have a leg up versus others who are too broad. And the reason that this will work is because prospects will think, hey, this is exactly for me. Like, they specialize in serving companies just like mine. They must know what they're doing. The fact is that by refusing to serve everyone, you can serve a smaller client pool, but do so with greater expertise, more attention to detail, and more success long term. All of this also begs the question, well, what does it take to be successful as an online coach? What does it take to build an actual sustainable revenue driving business? After taking courses and hiring coaches and running my own boutique, freelance, and fractional CMO business the last few years, there's basically 3 things that I've discovered that it's really hard to go full time as a coach without. And this is me being totally transparent with you guys. Number 1, you need a jaw-dropping story, some defining dramatic narrative that distinguishes you from everyone else out there saying they're a coach too. Together with that, you also need a large audience to the tune of 50 to 100K followers plus. Audiences love adversity, and they don't take anyone seriously who doesn't have tens of thousands of followers. This is just the way it is today. The story will attract the audience will scale the business. As for the story, you need something that you can fall back on and frame as rock bottom. And not just rock bottom as in, I was unhappy with my job, so I decided I wanted to be a coach. That won't work. Something that almost killed you or derailed you totally or threatened your entire existence. I realized all the top coaches share this commonality. They have a ridiculously heroic story of overcoming. Without a life-changing story and massive audience, the hard truth is it's going to be hard to gain the visibility and trust needed to break through at scale. I'm not saying to quit if you don't have a shit ton of followers or a defining rock bottom story, but you better be really good at the next 2 points I'm about to share if you don't. To sum this one up, the best coaches don't just sell or promote their story, they become it. And by extension, they become their business. Number 2, enormous social proof. As Alex Hormozi says, you need an undeniable stack of evidence that confirms you are who you say you are. Have you done the thing you sell? Most people have not. And look, I get it. They're selling the dream. Hell, I felt so pressured to perform with my first offer in my first coaching business that I was actually selling something that I'd never done myself. And it didn't take me long to realize that I was completely out of integrity and was very incongruent with what I was selling because I had never done 50K months at the time in my business. So what made me think that I could go and try to deploy that offer into the market and be taken seriously? You need to be actively doing or have done the thing that you proclaim to help others do. The other piece of this is client results. You need testimonials and you need them plastered all over your social pages. And until you get them, you will have a very hard time generating any sort of legitimate traction. This also presents an interesting chicken and egg problem, right? And I struggled with this for a long time. What comes first, the clients or the results needed to get clients? This is a tricky mix that adds an extra layer of complexity to succeeding as a coach. The key is to do it using a staircase approach. Get 1 or 2 clients, kill it for them, get good reviews, get a few more, kill it for them, get really good reviews. Alter your offer a little bit, ensure success for the next batch, get great reviews, and so on and so forth. And number 3, you need to build lead generation and sales machines that can run on autopilot in tandem with your manual work. So look, if you're going to use appointment setters, for God's sakes, please train them and make sure that they look and feel like an actual member of your team. The days of random VAs being able to DM people pitching your service, getting those people to respond, and to hop on a random call with someone they don't even follow are long gone. So if you use setters, start small, hire 1 or 2, and then make them a part of your team. Train them really thoroughly on your offer so they can answer any and all questions people may have. You can also hire fractional sales closers, but honestly, this is a better approach for companies building a large enterprise or preparing to grow a post-money startup. If you use closers, pay them straight commission so they only get paid when they close new accounts. And by the way, if you use closers, call them coaches or advisors when your appointment setter is lining up calls. Don't say you'll be meeting with Chris on my sales team. Say you'll be doing a deep dive with Chris, one of my expert advisors on staff. He's been in this space for a decade, so he knows his stuff. What this is going to do is incentivize them to actually show up and look forward to meeting with an industry expert as opposed to a sales guy just trying to pitch them on something. To be honest with you, I tried to use closers at one point with my last business, and the truth is I didn't need to, and it didn't work out well because they weren't as close to my offer as I was. And at the end of the day, no one knows what you do as a coach or consultant quite the way you do. So I don't recommend using proxies in the form of setters or closers, quite frankly, until and unless you do not have the capacity to do your own sales on your own. So to close out, look, coaching is not inherently a scam, but we need to lower our expectations when signing up for any sort of program. And we need to understand, at best, it'll only be one piece of that proverbial pie. It's really up to us to take action. It's up to you to go heads down for 12 to 24 months to actually implement and practice. And if you're a coach, it's up to you to change with the times if you want to continue to be successful. This game, the online coaching game, is hard. Let's keep it a buck. To succeed, you need to know how to build a category-defining personal brand, turn it into a sustainable business, incorporate repeatable processes, leverage tools and automation, build remote teams, and duplicate yourself. Spoiler alert, that's how the top 1% are doing it. I've got a free ebook that breaks all of this down. It's called the E-Revenue Roadmap. If you want to grab it, I'll include a link in the description. And if you want to go even deeper than that, then you can grab my official book, Content Capitalism, also linked below. Okay, that's all for this video. Go kill it.